Hello everyone, welcome back to TH Designs. Today's video is a continuation of probably our most popular series, the Wheel of Wonders. This is episode 7 at this point. It's pretty awesome that's still going forward with so much momentum. You guys seem to be all over it and loving it. Last episode we did Komodo, which was a Giovanola inverted coaster, which there's only one in the world, and that's Anaconda at Gold Reef City. This was a jungle theme, if you can't tell, or tropical theme, I think was technically what it was. Pretty much just jungle though. A lot of really fun elements here. This episode, I would love to potentially build something here. If not, we're probably going to have to veer over to the right here. But with all that said, let's jump over to the challenge wheel. Let's see what our constraints are going to be for today's episode. Here is our brand new updated wheel as of today, which is actually the anniversary of Planet Coaster. Happy anniversary, Planet Coaster. As a reward for us, we actually got the interactive shooting ride, so that's very exciting as I accidentally spin the wheel. So I removed the ones as per usual that we have already done in the first 6 episodes. We added 3 from last episode's comment section. Thank you to everybody that suggested different ideas, different challenges. We are starting to get pretty bulky, and as we just talked about, the park is getting pretty thin. So the 3 that we added are over here on the right. They're upside down, but I'll read them for you. The first one is one-of-a-kind elements only. Pretty self-explanatory. That was recommended by this comment. Elements like a lagoon roll, for an example. Elements that are only seen on one coaster in the world. This was a very interesting one. I'm excited for that one, if we even get it with how many we have on here. Next, we have cannot exceed X miles per hour. Somebody suggested 75 miles per hour. I just made it X, and we'll just spin a wheel or a random number generator to figure out what that number is going to be. That one again is pretty self-explanatory, but very interesting. If we have a coaster that's 200 feet but can't exceed like 50 miles per hour, obviously that's extremely challenging. That was recommended by this comment. Thank you to that person. And third and last but not least, delete and replace an element. This one is very interesting, and this one actually was an interpretation of this comment. Thank you to that comment for kind of inspiring this interpretation of it. But basically, we would go through the wheel as normal, build a normal coaster, well, as normal as the wheel allows us to build, I guess. And then at the very end, we spin a wheel or a number generator of all the elements that we built, and we have to delete one of them and improvise and fill in the gap. I like that one. Love all 3 of these. Thank you to everybody that suggested ideas. Without further ado, let's just spin the wheel. Let's see what today's constraints are going to be. I just realized I forgot to remove the ones from the previous episodes, so let's try this again. Hopefully we get something that allows us to build in that plot of land that we've been trying to attack forever. No more than 1 vertical negative G. Oh boy. This might be the hardest one on the wheel, actually. So if you're not super familiar with G-forces, basically positive is it goes the way that gravity's already going, so when you get shoved into your seat, that's positive G-forces. Negative is obviously the opposite. So when you think of floater or ejector airtime, that's a negative G-force, as you can kind of see in this blurry image. Or in this image that we actually saw last episode when we had a floater airtime hill on an inverted coaster, which was very strange. I think with that said, I am going to try and tackle that challenge and build in this plot of land, which actually, if you watch the every coaster model in real life video, this is where a lot of those coasters were taking place. I was kind of experimenting a little bit. I think we can fit a coaster here. I guess depending on what kind of model we get, we can probably fit it in here, maybe do something pretty compact. But I just want to show you kind of how ridiculous -1 G-forces is. So this little airtime hill here, you'll see how slow this takes this airtime hill. This is 0. Let me show you what -1 looks like, and this is the bare minimum. This is the threshold that we have to work with. So this little hill here is -1.5. This is going to be extremely difficult to work with because this, obviously it's not very smooth, but this isn't that fast. Like, this is going to be pretty difficult, and I'm really hoping we get some gentle elements. But yeah, this is going to be a tough one. Okay, so here's our coaster wheel, updated with all the brand new ones from all the DLCs and all that fun stuff. Of course, with the ones from the previous episodes removed. So I don't really know what I want here because this is such a difficult challenge to work with. I guess let's just spin it. I'm not really sure what I'm looking for here. It's not like I have a say anyway, so I guess let's just go. And hopefully it's just nice to us. Okay, yeah. I feel like a launch coaster kind of gives us a little bit more freedom to work with, and this is the best launch coaster that we could probably get, so that was a little bit of a save there. If you don't know what the Intimate or the Outamax raid is in-game, basically the real-life Intimate Blitz, it kind of covers a lot of bases with a lot of Intimate's products. Essentially, this is probably one of the most versatile coaster models that you could possibly have. It has access to pretty much everything that you'd want. and was a huge point in the latest DLC. So this is a really big, really good coaster to get, and I think should be pretty kind to us with this space. Here is that LSM Automax raid of the Intimate Blitz in game. Yeah, this should be pretty kind to us. This should allow us to build a pretty compact layout, so I appreciated that a lot. Instead of doing a random number generator on the height, we are now going to do a random number generator on how fast it's going to go. So hopefully that's pretty kind to us, because if we get like 100 miles per hour, all of a sudden this land doesn't become very nice to us. Okay, so here we are at the random number generator. I did 40 miles per hour for the minimum launch. I feel like that's pretty fair. To allow us to do a lot of these elements, we probably need to be at least 40 miles per hour. And then I did the max 120. That obviously would suck a lot. So let's just generate it. Let's see what we get. 56. Okay, that's very tame. Totally easy to work with. I could theoretically do a swing launch and transfer tracks and all that fun stuff, but because that is already a challenge on the wheel, I'm not going to. This is what 56 miles per hour looks like, by the way. So that's not bad at all. That's pretty good. That's a very good speed for the compact layout that we'd like to do here. So I imagine we're probably going to branch the path here. Usually I do that before we jump into the first element, but I'm just going to place the station here. I think what also is really interesting is with how tight this area is, it potentially gives us a really intimate space to do a really interesting theme. So the theme wheel should be very fun, especially if we get a really good one. So with all that said, let's jump over into the element wheel, figure out what our first one's going to be. Here is our coaster element wheel, the main event of it all. I removed all the elements from last episode. I believe we reset it on the world record breaking coaster. So between now and then, these are all the elements that have not been used. I believe I got rid of all the ones that we've already done. I might be wrong. I guess we'll find out. Let's spin it and let's see what our very first element is going to be after our 56 mile per hour launch. Anything is up for grabs here. We're working with probably the most versatile coaster out there. Sea Serpent. Okay. We had this before, I believe, on Deadeye, I think. So a Sea Serpent, according to Coasterpedia, is basically a Cobra roll, except it goes the way it keeps going the way it entered, is the best way to explain it. There's only 6 out there. I will show you on Deadeye, wherever it is. Here we go. This is our Sea Serpent here, right after our Norwegian loop. It's exactly as Coasterpedia described it. This should not be a hard one to make at all, and it should be good. So I'm going to make the little pre-launch section, nothing crazy at all. Make the launch, of course, and then we're going to jump into the Sea Serpent. Alright, there's our Sea Serpent done. That was actually pretty easy. It's one of the easier elements to make. We're sitting at about 88-90 feet. That's not bad at all. At the speed we're taking this, which by the way, I guess I didn't really talk about this little pre-launch section, but pretty simple stuff. With this like lifted launch, which this doesn't even touch any negative G's, so this is absolutely fine. The good news about this element, it's very positive G-force heavy. Let's actually look at the stats right now. Keep an eye down here on vertical G-force. We want to make sure that doesn't go to -1 or more. Again, very positive heavy. There's really no moments of airtime on this. We went almost to like 4 Gs. Let's see what follows next. Hopefully a cutback element. We want to keep this nice and compact. I want to try and fit as many elements as I can into this little plot of land. So let's see what's next. Alright, so Sea Serpent is now removed from the wheel. It was nice to see it back, but let's see what follows afterwards. We hadn't had that element since episode 1, so that was nice to see back. Lagoon Roll, we actually just talked about this. Okay, we almost had interlocking loops. That would have been neat. So the Lagoon Roll is another one-of-a-kind element, actually the one that we had mentioned when mentioning the challenge. It's only seen on Cannibal at Lagoon. Basically, and I'll attach a POV to make it easier to visualize, but basically it's a heartline roll, but except halfway through it goes back the other way, so it's not like a continuous roll. It's kind of awkward, but it is very iconic. It is going to be a weird one to incorporate into this. So here, I'm stuck between two minds here. Do I do a little curve wraparound and like have like the Lagoon Roll go through this Sea Serpent? That would be very cool. Or do I just have it go straight and then kind of go into this area, which is kind of leaning away from the compact idea that I really wanted? Anyway, I think I'm going to have it actually turn and go through this element. I just feel like it lends itself more towards it, and then we'll fill in this area later. Alright, so I think there's the element done. As you can see, it is kind of this weird, awkward heart line that goes from one way to the other. We are at about, what, 70, 60 feet. So the speed in which it's coming in is probably going to be a little too high. So I actually may have to lower it a bit. But that's actually not the worst, you know? Okay, I'm actually not against that really at all. I like that. But I think it's good. As per the challenge, another element that doesn't really lend itself towards negative G's. Maybe this challenge isn't as difficult as I expected it to be. Keep an eye down there. We're not even at breaking 0. More positives, more positives. Oh, there we go. We got pretty close there. But we did not break 1. That was close. I guess because of this element here, because of the hang time. So I guess we have to be very careful of hang time. That actually could really mess with some of our elements. Let's see what element number 3 will be. And hopefully we can turn left here, do some more compact stuff, fill out this gap, all that fun stuff. Alright, so Lagoon Roll is removed. Let's see what follows afterwards. Hopefully a turnaround, but really, who knows. Reverse Sidewinder, okay. And again, that was scarily close to being saxophone. We don't need any more of those in this park. So a Sidewinder is an element that inverts Riders 1, to be found in over 80 coasters. Super popular element. It consists of a vertical loop followed by a half corkscrew. So we have a reverse Sidewinder. We've had this before. We had it over on the dueling coasters right here. This is a Sidewinder. A reverse Sidewinder is going to enter through the half corkscrew and then go down, which is perfect because we're in the air right now. So I'm going to have it actually corkscrew. I wanted to go to the left and dive this way, but because the turn kind of is naturally lending itself towards swooping left, I'm probably going to do that. And then just fingers crossed we get something that allows us to come back this way. Alright, so there's our reverse Sidewinder done. Pretty easy stuff. Pretty much, like I said, half of this, just duplicating it. We are at, what, 83 feet, I think is what it said? Yes, so we have to keep in mind about hang time. The speed in which it was coming through the Lagoon Roll was pretty good. So the speed, it should be able to make this, first of all, but I'm concerned a little bit that it's going to have some hang time up the top here, and that's, of course, going to break our challenge. Okay, it doesn't. And let's see what follows next. We're getting pretty close to the launch here, so this is going to be a bit tricky. Alright, so there's the reverse Sidewinder removed. We still have technically the Sidewinder still in here, as you can see under the Top Gun stall. So that's always fair game. Hopefully we don't get it, because we've already had a similar element multiple times. Let's see what follows after. Hopefully something that can wrap around the launch. Interlocking corkscrews, okay. That is actually perfect, and we have not had this thus far. The interlocking loops as well. We've not had any interlocking elements at all in this series, and I've been waiting for it because it's so aesthetically interesting. Across 6 episodes, we somehow never managed to get any of the interlocking moments. Kind of ironically, we got a lot of interlocking with the dueling coasters, but we've never had any interlocking corkscrews or any interlocking loops. And it sets itself up pretty nicely to go over the launch here, which is fascinating. So I love that. Interlocking corkscrew is pretty self-explanatory. It's on a lot of B&M rides. As you can see in Rollercoaster Tycoon here, it's a corkscrew that goes over a corkscrew. Now what's kind of interesting is typically they're not back to back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one corkscrew here over the launch, which will look cool. And I'm going to keep that second one in our back pocket. And I'm going to do it after some more elements. Alright, so there's our corkscrew done. It's about 47 feet. Another very positive, heavy element, so I don't think there's going to be any issues there. I really thought that this challenge was going to be a lot more challenging, no pun intended. And it's really not been, and pretty much all these elements are very positive. So this second corkscrew has to most likely go over here, and we need to approach it from this side. So maybe it is actually best to, that takes that at a really nice speed. I like that a lot. Maybe it is best to do a turnaround here. Some kind of like wrap around. I don't know, it's kind of awkward. We're kind of dead ending ourselves right now. Let me try it and let's see maybe what I can do. Alright, so there is our interlocking corkscrews done. I recognize this is getting a little close, so I may have to lower this a bit. But yeah, this turnaround here is very interesting. It turns into like this almost like kind of double down moment. I'll have to check and make sure that the airtime looks good. This will kind of challenge it a little bit. But these corkscrews at 43 feet, that's nice and forceful. I like that a lot. This turnaround is pretty tight, pretty good stuff. Into the second 43-foot corkscrew. Really nice pace. Let's make sure that it looks good when it comes to the challenge. Okay, we almost touched 0, but we're okay. We're absolutely fine. And yeah, this is a very interesting coaster. Nice and compact. I love it so far. Alright, there is the interlocking corkscrews removed. Let's see what follows next. Interlocking loops is also still on here. Oh my god. Painful sigh.
No, God! No, God, please, no!
Well, this stinks a lot. I literally just said I was really feeling this coaster. Well, the good news is it's going to allow us to turn, which is kind of what I asked for, I guess. So, we have had this before. Yeah. We were not there in episode 1 when we had it. This is something seen really only on wild mouses, I don't know. And it's that moment there. It's that sharp turn that you nail your hip into the side of the train. It's one of the worst elements on any coaster. For me, at least. I don't like them. And they absolutely do not belong on Intamin Blitz coasters. What we did over here on Deadeye is this little shed thing. Is we raised it up. We raised it up 54 feet, and that was slow enough to make it realistic, because we have to remember at the forefront of this challenge is we have to make it realistic. I didn't think that was going to be an issue today. It is now an issue. So I'm going to raise it up as much as I can and have it turn. And it's going to pretty much go perfectly right here where the guests can laugh at my misfortune. Let's see. You know what else is a challenge that I didn't really realize until I just built this? Is I have to make sure that this airtime hill is not really what it's supposed to be, but it's what it's turning into, isn't less than -1. So, kind of a double-edged sword here. I think 71 feet should be fine. If you can't make 71 feet at a slow enough pace, then that's a problem. So like I want to have it go that way, but I feel like the nature of a hairpin turn, it has to be 180, and then I'll just have the drop sweep that way or something. I don't know. It was bound to happen. At least it happened on a versatile coaster, I guess, right? Let's see how the coaster gets up this hill, if it even can get up this hill, to be honest. So here it goes, coming up. It's not the worst thing ever. It's definitely a slow enough speed to be realistic. Yeah, I mean that's it. I don't know what else I expected. So I'm gonna drop this and swing it to the right, and then we can talk about the next element, and that hopefully is nicer than the hairpin turn. What also kind of stinks here is like the momentum is like completely killed, because like as it crawls up here and does that horrible thing, it then drops down here at like the slowest pace ever, and we're only at 44 miles an hour, which is not the best. So maybe we do a second launch depending on what the next element is. If it's a challenging one that we don't know if we can get over, that's what we'll do. So alright, let's get rid of this guy. I don't want to ever see him again, but we probably will. Alright, the hairpin turn is removed, and yeah, at least it's funny for you guys, right? I have to figure out a way to decorate it, I guess. I don't really have the luxury of doing a shed like I did on the first episode. Regardless, let's see what follows next. Hopefully something a lot nicer, right? Okay, awesome. Literally the worst. This is impossible. This is an impossible element on our challenge. This is impossible. It'd be -1. We have to now meticulously nail it to -1 G-forces. The wheel has a sense of humor today. I mean, if you don't know what an ejector airtime hill is, it's pretty self-explanatory. I think we might have had one on here. It's like this floater, but smaller. It's what we're not allowed to do here. So you know what? I feel like this is actually perfect, because I'm gonna do a launch just for the sake of it, because otherwise we're having a straight piece of track anyway, so might as well, right? So we have to make sure that, like, because for it to be an ejector airtime hill, it has to be ejector, and so we can't have it be greater than 0, because that's not really ejector. It's not really at all. Even -1 G-forces is arguably kind of floater-ish. I was just thinking that maybe we were kind of avoiding how difficult this challenge could be, and then we got that, which now forces us to face it head on. Let's see what that is. Obviously that looks terrible, but let's just make sure if it's near 1, I guess. I don't know. Alright, so here it drops down. Let's keep an eye on that number. Yep, we went over. Okay. We went to 1.3. I don't know if you saw that, but we now have to lower this more. I mean, ejector, like this coaster model loves ejector airtime hills, so like this feels like wrong to not have any ejector airtime hills. Yeah, so that was like 0.85. That's good enough. And that gets us to 56 miles per hour more or less again, so that's nice. We kind of got what we wanted with a second launch, but at the price of a very awkward airtime hill, I guess. Alright, there is ejector airtime removed. I completely forgot that that could have been a thing. Let's see what follows afterwards. The double down. The wheel. Okay, this would typically be a more than welcome addition to any coaster. It is absolutely not on this challenge. The wheel is having a laugh today at our expense. Let me explain what a double down is, I guess. We had one somewhere. I don't know why I can't find it. This is a double down. Pretty self-explanatory. It's a double down. Let's see what the G-forces are on Scribble and Draft. On the same element. Alright, we're watching the white one here on Draft. Looking at that number. Okay. This first one is quite literally -1. So we have to do something very similar to that. And I guess the other part that stinks is we're on the ground. We have to go up to do a double up. So I think I'm gonna have it like sweep to the left, do the double up over here, and then have it go underneath the Sea Serpent, and then attack this, and then we can come back around. Alright, so this is obviously an extremely gentle double down. It hardly even qualifies as one, really. But I hope that it'll be gentle enough that it's okay. I really don't think it will be, to be honest. I think double down probably might have been the worst thing we could have got. Alright, so we're approaching. You can see it's racing through. Keep an eye on that number there. Yeah, that first one destroys it, as one probably could have guessed. Okay, we're in the clear. That got to 0.9. That's our closest moment that we've had, but we're good. We're in the clear. Let's see what follows. All right, there's the double down removed. The double up is still here, so hopefully we don't. Let's see what follows. Hopefully some kind of turnaround or something, but okay, that's a fun one. I always like a flying snake dive. So flying snake dive is another one-of-a-kind element. It would also qualify on that other challenge that we talked about. It's only on Stormrunner at Hershey Park. I'll include a POV. It is one of my favorite elements to ride. It is so fun, and it's more or less like a heartline roll that sweeps into a dive. And that's what it says here, a heartline roll or an inline twist that dives in one direction. This should be pretty easy. I'm thinking of having it go up, do the twist, and then dive and come back this way. I'm gonna go up to the left a little bit, do the twist thing, dive, and then we'll attack this final channel before the brake run. Alright, so there's our flying snake dive done. It jumps up here. What, 72 feet in the air? That should be slow enough that the G-forces here should be fine. And then this dive here faces us a little bit to the left here, so we can attack this channel here into the brake run. This is lining up pretty nicely. This coaster is very fascinating. Definitely one of our more interesting installments. Yeah, it hardly even touches zero, although it does get close here. I'm guessing because of that hang time, similar to the lagoon roll, but we're still okay. I'm thinking maybe one, maybe two more elements, and then we can enter that brake run and call it a day. So let's go see what it'll be. All right, there is the flying snake dive removed. Let's see what follows after. Hopefully a turnaround would be terrible. Top Gun stall, okay. If hang time really is the reason that that number is going near -1, this could be a problem, but if it's not, then this is like the perfect element. The Top Gun stall is another element that is one of a kind. It's seen on Twisted Colossus, and of course is inspired by the movie Top Gun, where like the jets are over top of one another. You can see it here. Technically, it requires a second train, so you could argue that we can't do it, but I'm gonna do it anyway and just kind of chalk it off as a 0G stall, which is essentially what this upper moment is, and you'll just have to kind of forgive me. It is like the perfect element because it's straight, so it's pretty much a straight shot to the end. So this will probably be our last element, which is like perfect. Alright, there's our Top Gun slash Zero G stall done. It kind of is, it's a little bit awkward profiling. Typically it would come back down, but because the brake run has to be so high because the station's so high, it almost exits as like a barrel roll, but I think that's okay. So here it is entering that flying snake dive, which that's at a really nice speed. Let's keep an eye on this vertical G-forces, make sure that doesn't break it. That's a lot of hang time. I really like that. That's a really fun way to end the ride. I think this is our coaster done. It's really compact. Most of our coasters are very expansive, so this was nice to kind of have it kind of on top of itself. This is a very neat coaster, and it beats our challenge. So, all right, here we are on the theme wheel, updated to today, 11/6. Just like the challenge wheel, we have 3 new additions. Those being any country, which I think was recommended a few episodes ago, which I love that idea. So we would spin an additional wheel of whatever countries we put on the list, maybe with a minimum population or something like that. And then we obviously theme it to that country. Horror slash spooky, which is just too late for Halloween. That kind of stinks, but it is here in case we get it. And then third and last but not least, we have music slash rock and roll, which I imagine will be like rock and roller coaster, which that's really fun. So yeah, so those 3, thank you for everybody that suggested themes. You guys are always very great with that, so thank you as always. Other than that, the 6 that we have done before, except for Pirates, have been removed because Pirates was from that lost episode. So let's spin it and let's see what we're going to be working with today. We have a very versatile coaster, so quite literally anything is up for grabs. All right. This was added, I think, 2 episodes ago in the record-breaking coaster, and I can't remember if it was my idea or if it was a comment, but this is a hilarious one, and this is going to be so fun to make. So if you don't know what I'm talking about with US commercial corporate, I'm specifically talking about like how like the urban hell of like Grayscapes with all of these like towering brands, and it's the opposite of aesthetically pleasing from like all of these like suburbias and highways. I mean, that about sums it up. I think it'd be fun to use like planetcoaster brands and just like make them like in your face ugly with all these highways like overlapping the track and stuff. I think that could look horrible. We did a poll last video asking how many people wanted to see a complete transition swiftly to the finished product, or like how many people want to see me check in periodically throughout the scenery building, and it was pretty 50-50. Some people really enjoyed the convenience of jumping to the finished product, and I totally get that. That's what we've been doing and it's been working. And some people were really interested in the scenery, which I also get that as well. So I'm going to do something kind of in the middle. Maybe at a halfway point I'll check in. There might only be like 1 or 2. We'll kind of see how that works, what people think about that. And yeah, so something a little bit different. So yeah, I'm going to get building. For me, it's probably going to be a few hours or whatever, and you guys, it'll just be a few seconds. So I will see you in a bit, probably at a halfway point, and this may be the most fun theme we've had thus far. Alright, so I said I was going to stop halfway through the scenery building. I'm sure the first thing you're seeing is this huge Walmart Supercenter, which is pretty in line with the theme that we're working with, which again is corporate US hellscape, and all these highways and parking lots, and of course the McDonald's. There had to be a McDonald's in here. There is a problem, and I'm struggling to actually like kind of have them like unify as like one theme, because as you can see there's all these gaps, and how do you connect all these different ideas into one? Kind of what I'm dancing with right now, and I'm sure I'll figure something out. I don't know what I'm going to name the ride yet. I haven't even themed the ride really at all. I haven't even added the supports, haven't named it. Right now I'm just kind of focusing on the general ideas that I want, like these big on and off ramps and these huge highways that actually the track kind of interacts with, which this actually looks like a super fun moment with the flying snake dive. The station is a Walmart, like I said, and the interior is kind of done. I don't focus on interiors too much, but I kind of wanted to capture the terrible interior that a Walmart has, and the all these fluorescent buzzing lights that are super classic. And then of course it exits out of a dock station. But yeah, I still have a lot of touching up to do with the parking lots. The entire entrance to the Walmart is the parking lot, so it acts as a path and a parking lot, I suppose. But don't worry, we have handicap parking, because at least the one thing America does now is ADA, so we have plenty of that here. I want to put a gas station somewhere. I think I might put it here, I might put it there, I'm not sure yet, and I'm gonna definitely have those 100-foot tall billboards like the reference photo that I'm using. I really wanted to get like a suburbia, like a sprawl. I don't think it's really gonna fit. We don't have that much space to work with. Yeah, this is the essence I'm trying to capture, so that there's all this traffic, but I'm gonna get all those billboards, and yeah, that's kind of where my mind's at. I think next time we check in I'm probably gonna be finished. Yeah, I'm probably more or less halfway done with this build. It's been a few hours. I will see you when this is done. Alright, we are back. I know I cut like halfway through and I only did the one cut. I kind of wanted to get a second one in, but I was just kind of in the flow. As you can see, this is probably the messiest one thus far. Kind of on brand. It's like super hilarious and fun. This was probably the most fun one to do and probably took the longest, ironically, even more than probably Colossus and maybe even the Everest coaster. So I guess I'll give you the tour. First of all, the ride's name is Rush Hour. I tried to think of some funny names like self-checkout or express lane and stuff like that, but Rush Hour is just the one that's stuck. You enter through Walmart, a Walmart supercenter. I guess first, the path is to the station is the parking lot. That's how guests walk to the station. You walk in and it's just quite rough. I think I touched on some of this in the halfway point, so I'll kind of surf through it, but you walk into here, you go into the station, and you enter the loading platform where you meet the McDonald's colored train, because how could it not be? I was thinking about what to actually like detail the train as. I thought of like a shopping cart or a bus or a commute train or something, but nothing really kind of stuck, and I also spent so much time on this, I didn't really feel like it. So the train comes out into this little loading dock where you see the Walmart truck, and then of course there's a drive-through sign. How could there not be a drive-through sign? Where of course there's the McDonald's here, and there's also a Shell. So you start the coaster by going through a Shell gas station, which by the way, I did not make this blueprint or these cars. These cars were an absolute lifesaver. I'll try and remember to attach the workshop code. I use them all the time. They're fantastic. Regardless, it launches then up into, I'll try and remember what the elements are. It's been so long, but this was a sea serpent, I believe, which you may notice if my game would function correctly. In the middle of the sea serpent is a billboard that the coaster kind of crashes through. Of course, there's plenty of advertising in this build with these huge 100-foot advertising towers, which is real, by the way. Some of my viewers are from England and from other parts of the world and maybe foreign to this. This is a real thing. You see the huge overpasses. I wanted to do like a huge like triple or like quadruple decker like you would see like in Dallas or like Atlanta, but as it goes through the elements, it kind of is just weaving in and out of all these moments. It's kind of ironic because the ride itself, while being kind of like this joke of a bigger theme, the ride itself is actually pretty awesome and may arguably be the most fun one in the park. If you ask me, I'm a sucker for launch coasters, but this thing looks like a lot of fun. I haven't actually checked the stats. They're actually really low for some reason. I don't really know why. Of course, our challenge, which may have been forgotten at this point, was to be under, technically over, -1 vertical g-forces, and this confirms we are -0.96 was the closest we got. I can't remember if I even talked about this. I can't remember what we talked about in the halfway point, but I decorated the hairpin turn by putting it into like this like corporate building, which you can see there's two of them, a joke on like business parks. I feel a little guilty because I kind of hid it away, similar to what I did with Deadeye over there with the little shed, but I'm not really sure what else to do in these moments. They're just so awkward and eyesores, so I just try to make it some kind of moment where it's like breaking through an office building or like breaking through a construction zone. I really love this moment as well with the flying snake dive that sweeps underneath this overpass and then goes under here and kind of has like a little chopper moment, a little collision moment with the truck, with the semi-truck. It's a pretty neat finale, and I can't believe the stats are as low as they are. I think this thing rocks. I'm curious what you guys are gonna think, but yeah, I think I'm a little tired. This has taken way longer than it probably should have, but this was really fun. And this cinematic, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know if I'm gonna take it seriously or if I'm gonna make a joke of it. I'll have to think about it tomorrow when I edit. But regardless, I am very happy with this. I hope you guys are as well. This was a very fun episode. Really nice ride, really nice theme, really interesting challenge. I think we checked all the boxes off for a really fun episode, and I hope you guys feel the same. So with all that said, let's cut over to the cinematic. Let's see what I ended up doing, and of course the POV, which this POV is pretty awesome. So I will see you in episode 8, and I will see you in the next video I upload on the channel. Thank you for all the love and support as usual, and take care, everybody.